Welcome back. I am here with the legendary Bobby Keel. Now, Mr. Keel, the first thing is I read somewhere that you were born in South Carolina, but you never really lived there.
I never lived there. Actually, it's Bobby and not Mr. Keel. So just call me Bobby. Yeah, my dad was working construction, and my mom got pregnant. They were living in South Carolina, but before I was born, they moved back across over to Augusta, which was 15 miles or so. So I was born in South Carolina, but never lived there. First place I lived was Augusta, Georgia, and that was just for a month or so. And then my dad and mom came back to Tennessee with me and my brothers and sister. And I've stayed here pretty much ever since, except for a while stint in Texas in the 70s.
Oh yeah. Do you think that helped because kind of prepare you for the life you were going to live because you're kind of used to already moving around?
Well, at a month old, I was already ready to pack my bags, I'm sure. but yeah, I have a nickname or whatever, if you will, or a little thing I go by, Old Troubadour. Oh, yeah. Life's good for an old troubadour. That's, if you go on my social media site, I'll say 2 or 3 times a week, life's good for an old troubadour. Because I've always had rambling in my veins and playing music. It kind of goes hand in hand. I still think I'm the fellow that wrote Greensleeves.
Yeah.
It's 600 or 700 years old. Yeah. But I still think I was probably roaming around somewhere in North Italy or Southern France and made that song up, because it's my favorite.
Oh man, I feel that way about certain songs too. They kind of feel a part of you.
Sure.
Now, for the next aspiring Bobby Keel, someone else who wants to be a songwriter, how would they get started? How did you get started?
Get a real job. Really get a real job, and then work at it. Songwriting is just like any other craft, be it an electrician or a boiler maker or a whatever, or a lawyer. It's a craft, and you have to understand there's certain rules to writing songs. I always write my last verse first. I kind of get the idea and I play it out like a storyboard, and then I determine my destination, so that way I can set up the characters in the first verse, and then I can have the chorus to tie in with the second verse. That's the determination of where my characters are going to go. And 12 lines is all it takes. It doesn't have to be 15 pages long.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't need to be an opera.
Yeah, and you need to have connections.
Yeah.
And, it's something that, you can start writing today, and you may not ever get a song cut. You might write beautiful songs, so you've got to have the connections. And, of course, if you want to be an actor, you go to Hollywood. If you want to be a director, you go to Hollywood or New York or wherever. If you're going to be a songwriter, you got to go where songwriters are.
Exactly.
Because after all, when you start out, you're no more than an apprentice in a musical workshop.
That's a great saying. Now, I remember I read this interview with Ira Glass where he said there's a gap whenever you first start in entertainment where you know where you want to go and you know that you have great taste, but you're not good enough to get there yet. For you, how long did it take for you to bridge that gap?
Oh man, first 2 songs I ever wrote got recorded.
That's great.
First 2 songs I wrote got recorded. But, then it was a few years, before I really got rolling, so to speak. But the average is about a 5-year commitment.
Yeah.
It's like going to college or, you may get a little action between that before you really get noticed and recognized among your peers. You see from being, hey, that kid writes great melodies, or that kid got some good lyrics or good hooks, but you're always the kid until suddenly somebody comes up and says, Bobby, that's a great melody, or Bobby, that's good words, And it's just a transitionary thing, because, I've been writing since I was 17 years old. And, I was the kid. And I like to think that I've nurtured young writers coming along and let them be my kid, so to speak, and what have you. And it's a very close community of writers, just like it's a close community of producers and directors and what have you. And it's not hard. It's not hard to find your way. But if you ever step out of line, you'll lose your way real quick because it's a real closed community, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And just pursue it, and pursue it to the best of your knowledge, and always get with the best writers you can get. You know, if it's to go listen to them at a showcase, or you get the opportunity to write with one, you know, or two or three or four. To be the best, you've got to get with the best, you know.
Oh, of course.
Osmosis is a wonderful thing.
Oh, yeah. Is there someone who you would say working with them was probably like one of the best experiences?
Writing with some of the great Hall of Fame writers like Don Wayne or just so many of, you know, the great ones, Bill Taylor. Those guys wrote songs for Elvis, and I mean, you know, they're Hall of Fame songwriters. And I started writing with them, and Whitey Schaefer and Doodle Owens and Dallas Frazier. They're all Hall of Fame songwriters, and they were when I started writing with them. And I was their kid. Of course, they were heroes, you know. To me, I don't see myself as anything other than Bobby, and I write songs, and I've been doing it a long time, to the up-and-coming writers who come to me for advice. But I'm not so sure that they didn't feel like, well, we're just old songwriters having fun, helping somebody along, you know.
That's true. I guess that feeling never goes away. I mean, but if I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere you were nominated for
That's
Songwriters
exactly
Hall of
right. And I
Fame.
told them I didn't want it. I told them I didn't want to be in the Hall of Fame. I didn't want to have to live my life on a pedestal and just get down off that pedestal and go to the bathroom and eat supper. I want to be able to run around the golf course and play golf and all that other stuff. I don't want to be on a pedestal, so I'm happy where I am.
So do you think that makes it harder? Because I've heard people say that, like, once you become a legendary status, then people think, oh, this person is up here. And they don't
Well,
want
I think other people think that. I think most, you know, the writers, they're still the same people. You know, if you're in a Hall of Fame or not, you know. I don't see I've sold millions of records, and I don't see me any different. Then, don't get me wrong, I'm pleased that I have been able to do something with my life that I thoroughly enjoy. But I never take it for granted. And you know, it's been a blessing. The thing that really works well for me is just, as Oscar Wilde said, you can only be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
That's a great quote.
Great quote. So just be yourself, and, you know, these old timers that I hung out with when I was a kid, they've always been themselves. They've never changed. I've never seen it. I think the change comes within people's perspective of someone having a lot of success, and that somehow builds up a wall, you know. Worst thing I can't stand to hear somebody say, well, I just can't stand so-and-so singer. I can't stand Garth Brooks. Or I just hate Beyonce, or whatever. They don't even know these people. How can you hate anything? I have no room in my heart for hate for anything. And especially somebody that I have no idea who they are. They got their own lives. They get up every morning and go to the bathroom and eat breakfast and go on through their day. They've just got a job, you know, just like everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I think the people who achieve star status, they don't change as much as the people around them. You know, they'll try to shelter them away from all of this stuff. And there are situations when you're playing to a crowd of 50,000 people, you can't go out and shake hands to everybody.
Yeah, there's too many people.
That's just too many people. That's exactly right.
So has that happened to you? Have the people around you in some way changed?
No. Best friends I've got in this life are people I've known since I was a small child.
Oh, man.
Know?
Yeah.
And I've made friends, you know, through the years that are very dear to me. Doc V's one of them.
Oh, yeah, and I love Doc V.
I'll tell you what, if you're going to watch TV or listen to the radio, listen to 91.9 WPAX. Right? Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
91 point, what's call letters?
The call letters?
Yeah, WAPX.
I think so.
91.9, yeah.
If I got it wrong, Doc V would kill me.
That.
Well, thank you, sir, for doing this interview.
Absolutely.
And we'll be right back after the break.